Today we're making this really beautiful and beginner-friendly poinsettia. Hi friends! For this project you're going to need some synthetic rope, and I recently found one on Amazon that's much better than these ones. I'll link it in the description box for you. You're also going to need some sharp scissors, some felt, and either these little tiny bells or you can use beads. You're also going to need a hot glue gun, as well as a lighter to melt the ends of our synthetic rope. I also find it very helpful to have a macrame board and some T-pins. To start on our project, we're going to work on the 4 smaller petals in the center first. Grab one of your strands of rope, fold it in half to find the center, and then pin the center down onto your board. Next, grab your second cord, fold it in half to find the center, and pin that right next to your first one. What we're going to do is we're going to tie a square knot. To tie a square knot, take the leftmost cord and place it over top of the 2 center, and then take the rightmost cord and tuck that up behind the 2 centers and up through the loop of your left. Cinch that all the way up to the top. Then take your rightmost cord and place that over top of the centers, and then take your leftmost cord, place that behind the 2 centers and up through the loop of your right. Now, once your knot is secure, unpin it from your board, and what you're going to see is it's going to have these little loops at the top. To get rid of those, just tug on the 2 center cords. What's great about this project is it works entirely out of square knots, so it's very beginner friendly. Next, split your cords into 2 sets. Grab your 3rd strand of cord and fold it in half. Then with the center loop, place that behind your first set of 2 cords. We're going to attach it onto these 2 cords with what I like to call a floating square knot. Basically, it is very similar to tying just a regular square knot, only your working strands are not already attached. And because it's not attached, you have the ability to slide it up and down onto your anchor cords. Once you've tied your floating square knot, slide it all the way up to the top, and then we're going to do the same thing and attach our 4th cord onto the next set of 2 cords. And slide that floating square knot all the way up to the top. For the next row, skip the first 2 and the last 2 cords, and we're only going to tie a regular square knot right in the very center. For the next row, we're going to divide our cords in half, and we're going to tie 2 square knots. For the next row, we're going to skip the first 2 and last 2 cords and tie 1 square knot right in the center. Then we're going to divide our cords in half and tie 2 more square knots. This is called an alternating square knot pattern. Now to finish off this petal, we're going to take the 2 outside cords and we're going to tie them around the center cords. I like to refer this as a gathering square knot. And as you're tying this gathering square knot, you want to tie it really taut. Alright, perfect. Now just repeat this 3 more times for a total of 4 petals. Next, we're going to work on the 4 larger petals. So just like the small ones, you want to take your 2 cords, fold them in half to find the center, and pin them down onto your board. Then tie a square knot, followed by 2 floating square knots. Next, we're going to tie one square knot right in the center. And then for the next row, 2 square knots. Okay, now this is where we're going to increase the size of our petal. We're going to attach a floating square knot on our 2 ends and then a regular square knot in the center. If you're enjoying this tutorial so far, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. For the month of November, I have a Christmas tutorial planned every single day for the entire month. If that is something you're interested in, I hope you consider subscribing. Alright, once you've attached your last floating square knot and slid it all the way up to the top, we're going to divide our work into 4 sections. Skip the first 2 and last 2 cords, and all we're going to do is tie just regular square knots with the 2 sets in the middle. For the next row, we're going to tie 3 square knots. Alright, to finish off this petal, just like we did in the previous one, we're going to grab the 2 outside cords and tie a gathering square knot. Now, because there's a lot to gather, it might pucker a little bit. That's okay, just keep working with it and flatten it out as best as you can. And finally, to finish off the larger petals, what we're going to do is tie 1 more square knot right below the last one. Alright, your larger petal is going to look something like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to need to tie 3 more. To create the leaves, you're going to be quite happy. It's pretty much identical as the large petals. So let's skip ahead. Alright, so this is the part where you would have tied your gathering square knots in your larger petal. But instead for our leaf, we're just going to add another row of 2 square knots. Once you added your last row of square knots, you want to grab your 2 outside cords and we're going to tie 2 gathering square knots. I told you it was going to be almost identical as the large petals. And just like the large petals, you're going to need to have a total of 4 leaves. Now, before we start putting it all together, we're going to have to finish all the ends of all of our petals and all of our leaves. Now to do this, you want to snip the 2 ends first and leaving just a little bit of a tail so that you can melt that down and press it towards the back of your petal. Next, snip off all your gathered cords and you want to also melt those down. And yes, we're going to have to do this with all the small petals, the large petals, and the leaves. Now to build your poinsettia, you're going to need a small piece of felt, and you want it to measure roughly around about 1.5 inches to 2 inches or 4 to 5 centimeters. Now to start building your flower, you want to place a little bit of hot glue at the top of your circle, grab your leaf, and tack that down. Then repeat this below it, and I find it's easiest to work from the top, bottom, left, and right. That way you get the spacing out evenly. Next, we're going to tack down our set of large petals. And finally, stagger your smaller petals right on top. You should have something that looks like this. Now, to add a little bit of spice, we're going to add our bells right into the middle. Using our hot glue gun again, put a generous dollop right in the center. Now, if you don't happen to have any bells, what you could also use is some sparkly beads in the middle. I think that would look beautiful. This macrame poinsettia is beautiful on its own. However, what you could do with it is you could turn it into an ornament, or it would look beautiful on the table as a napkin ring holder. And I'm sure there's many ideas of how you can use it to incorporate it into your holiday season. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.